incrível sensação, é tão real. Essas garotas. Que o seu vou dizer ao mundo. Vamos no passinho assim, ó. Vou dizer ao mundo que o seu amor, Jesus, é o melhor, não tem igual, sobrenatural. Vou dizer ao mundo que o seu amor, Jesus, é o melhor, não tem igual, sensacional.
the tent, please. Get people under the tent.
Esta es mi vida y lo que me queda es para dártela entera, para cantar de tus bendiciones.
Get up.
Todos mis miedos y mis problemas los dejo a un lado, nada me frena, contigo voy a cruzar la meta.
Y yo sé que aunque vengan los vientos no van a volcar mi barca, si tú estás en ella.
Y yo sé que no todo en la vida me va a resultar perfecto, pero contigo yo estoy completo.
Tengo ganas de amarte como tú me has amado, Dios. Tengo ganas de darte mi corazón.
Aunque vengan las pruebas, en tu cruz tengo protección. Y si es a tu lado, el futuro se ve mejor. Oh, 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 oh.
Y si es junto a ti,
tengo ganas de vivir. Voy de vivir, tengo ganas. Alabarte todas las mañanas. Abro la ventana y veo el sol brillante. Con ese primer suspiro yo quiero adorarte. Donde quiera que me envíen, ahí yo iré. Aunque esté en la línea de fuego, yo tengo fe que tú estás a mi lado y no me detendré. Que pase lo que pase, que ya lo sé. Yo sé que aunque vengan los vientos no van a volcar mi barca, si tú estás en ella.
y yo sé que no todo en la vida me va a resultar perfecto, pero contigo yo estoy completo.
Tengo ganas de amarte como tú me has amado, Dios. Tengo ganas de darte mi corazón.
Aunque vengan las pruebas, en tu cruz tengo protección. Y si es a tu lado, el futuro se ve mejor.
Oh, 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 oh.
Y si es junto a ti, tengo ganas de vivir.
Aunque el mundo lo intenta, no voy a dejar que la mente me mienta. Eres tú quien me sustenta y tengo tu palabra que me alimenta. No voy a negar lo que diste, no voy a olvidar lo que hiciste, no, que tú te ofreciste y en la cruz moriste, así la vida tú me diste. Tengo ganas de cantarte, no puedo dejar de amarte, no.
Parar de cantar yo no puedo, vivir sin tu amor yo no quiero.
Tengo ganas de cantarte, no puedo dejar de amarte, no.
Tú eres la luz, tu nombre es Jesús y mi motivo es la cruz. Tu amor me cubre y jamás me falla, sanando heridas y borrando huellas. Mi gratitud no calla, lo grito hasta las estrellas. Tu amor me cubre y jamás me falla, sanando heridas y borrando huellas. Mi gratitud no calla, lo grito hasta las estrellas por ti.
Tengo ganas de amarte como tú me has amado, Dios. Tengo ganas de darte mi corazón.
Aunque vengan las pruebas,
En tu cruz tengo protección.
y si es a tu lado,
El futuro se ve mejor. Oh, 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 oh.
y si es junto a ti,
Tengo ganas de cantarte y no puedo dejar de amarte, no. Y si es junto a ti, tengo ganas de vivir.
Echamos cada uno, dai. Dai, one more, hey. Oye. Okay. Dai, one more.
was before me, I was swallowed by pride. Out of the darkness you brought me to your light. You showed me new mercy and opened up my eyes. From the day you saved my soul till the very moment when I come home, I'll sing, I'll dance, my heart will overflow. From the day you saved my soul. Where brilliant light is all around, and endless joy is the only sound. Oh, rest my heart forever and now. In your arms I'll always be found. From the day you saved my soul till the very moment when I come home, I'll sing, I'll dance, my heart will overflow. From the day you saved my soul. Hey, hey. My love is yours. My heart is yours. My life is yours forever. My love is yours. My heart is yours. My life is yours forever. From the day you saved my soul till the very moment when I come home, I'll sing, I'll dance, my heart will overflow. From the day you saved my soul. From the day you saved my soul.
Okay. You did your workout. You did your workout. Sei meglio di Simon. Glielo dico io. I'm gonna send him a message. Tuo fratello balla meglio di te. Ehi, mandiamo un messaggio a Simon. Joshua è meglio di te. A Simon. Orgoglio. Ti fa bene. Gli mandiamo un bel messaggio. Yeah, divine mercy. No, we do it. The divine mercy we do it. Who said that? No, I don't think so. No, but adoration we done it this morning. We done it this morning. No, but we changed that. I think we changed it because also we are mass for 30. So don't worry about that. No, testimonies. No, testimonies. Joyce, allora vuoi venire anche te un attimo? So we invite. Sorry. So we invite everybody to take a seat, to stop talking, please.
we ate a good lunch. Did you eat a good lunch? Good. And think about, you need to think about who prepared the lunch for you. Now, sometimes we have great cooks, you know, but for some reason this year, everybody was gone already, you know, the one that did festivals before. So we pick, and there is in the kitchen, there are three guys, the three of them, one is 64, one is 62, and the other one is 50. And if I go over there, we make it 2 or 3 centuries, you know. But I can tell you that they work, and they work, and they work. Sometimes young generation a lot to learn from us older generations. I can tell the young people in community, younger, the younger generation, they like to do push-ups in the kitchen. That's what they like to do, to have the big muscles. But sometimes big muscle that means that you have a great brain. Because big muscle, it's not like it's going to get you around too much, you know? It's the will, the determination, the strength, the perseverance, you know? So we have had a guy that, Afro-American, that he came in, they drop him off, and he's going to stay here for a few months because he's got to go back for doctor visit. But he didn't leave the kitchen, you know, other than go to the restroom, is always over there, you know, and working. Working. Work is a dignity, you know? Get your hands dirty. And they then, throughout the years, drugs, sometimes it's overwhelmed, but it's handling, you know? It's handling well. So think about who prepare lunch for you. You don't need to pay what you pay. You need to pay double, triple of everything we pay. Excuse me. Instead, you know, that's the beauty of the community. Sometimes we look around and say, we're going to do the Festival of Life. Beautiful for you to come and prepare for all of you. And it's beautiful for you to think about to come, which is, for us, sometimes we look at each other and say, who's going to do this? We fight the war with what we have. And sometimes we have great ammunition. Sometimes it's just so and so, you know? But we do it anyway. The good war, the good war. It's not like a war, forget it. We are all for peace in any ways. But that's important, you know, to see that young people, when you challenge, or the people in community challenge, they respond. Sometimes also here we need to, my eyes, like I have a good scan, I can scan through, you know, but it's always it's not easy, you know. Remember, it's not easy. But we are very grateful. So they prepare a good lunch. I'm sure they're going to prepare a good dinner. And tomorrow you're going to have so. And I want to tell you also, la Divina Providenza is also all of you. Divine Providence is also you. You know, God gives. You don't have just to think about you. Think about the others. You know, in community here in America, we sustain our community, and also what we try to do, you know, like everybody is not cheap, you know. So you think about what we try to do. And also a goal for us is to have a permanent pavilion for this. So where we can play underneath, basketball, kickball, and tennis, whatever, play, and use it as a permanent auditorium. You know, that's the next goal that we have in front of us. And we like to have it for next year, 30 years anniversary. So if any of you want to help out, grazie. Thank you very much. So that's a goal. You know, it's going to stay here forever. You know, so that's a beautiful goal. And on top of that, we are sustaining also our missions in South America, you know, in Peru, schools. They go to school. We pay the tuition in Africa. We help our Africa missions a lot. With school, we have 40 kids living over there. Send them to school and supporting and do whatever we can, you know. So God gives. You don't just need to keep. You know, be free, you know. And also it's a work of God, you know. It's not Albino's work. We are just instruments. It's not only Mother Revera's work. And not Sister Jennifer's work. It's a community work, a work of God. We don't work for us. We work for God. He's the best boss. And divine providence means also trusting. We have and we stay without. What we have, we use. What we don't have, the guys sometimes say, oh, we don't have this. Okay, that's great. You've been spoiled all your life. You know, like you did that. Many of you did that. You know, you've been spoiled and expecting and demanding. Instead, in community, you have and you don't have, and just be grateful. And we are very grateful for what we have. Wow, we are very, very grateful. And we learn to be grateful in every act that we do. You know? So it's not like it's just taking and expecting. No. It's not expecting. Gratefulness. Say thank you. You know? When in my times, I was telling many times to the guys, you were sitting at lunch or dinner, if the guy was bringing you the plate of pasta, and if you didn't say thank you, the plate was not coming in front of you. It was staying over there in his hands. Learning how to say thanks. Learning how to, you have the water in front of you, instead to pour the water into your glass, you pour the next person's glass. The basics, learning not to be only selfish. You know, think me. No, the others. So, gratuity, gratitude, really gratefulness, thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is coming soon. We have a lot to be thankful. You know, for what we have, what we receive, for the life that you see in your own son and daughters, for the life the Mother Elvira gave for all of us, for the last 40 years that the community is going to be 40 next year and 30 in America. So, be divine providence. I saw people that throughout the years, and they always said what we did, they did great things for us, and say, has been a gift for us to do it. And Mother Elvira ha detto, the divine providence is not like for me, it's a gift for you. Give you an opportunity to do something good, you know? And we see, you know, beautiful. And also, you see our house. We built it. It's not like a guy came in and say, okay, I'm going to build the house for you. Absolutely no. It took us 3 years for us to build it. With a lot of sacrifice, understanding, working hard, don't know what we were doing, but we did it, you know? And not with a contractor that was here every day to check in on us. With your guys, your son and daughter. Daughters, no. The daughters, they were just working other stuff, you know? The sons, the men of the community, you know? So we did it. And Michael can say, he was here the 3 years that we built the house. And he was an electrical engineer. He came lost. After 6 months, he began to clear up his mind, and then we put it to work. It was a great gift, right? The first 6 months, he was just over there sanding the tables. The electrical part, he didn't even see it, right? It was coming from prison, from jail, right? It was like in another community. The one that there is not too many, there are more restrictions. Sometimes Gianacolo is strict. It's nothing compared to the other, right? In Chicago. But everybody can become a gift, and they came at the right time, at the right moment, when we really need somebody that knew what he was doing, especially on the mechanical part. That is not easy. So ragazzi, feminists, there is so much for you that you can do, and for us that we can see, you know? And for your sons and daughters, don't just think about them. They are sons and daughters of God first. They are your family. And don't just think about, oh, I need to do this for him, I need to pay college for him, I need to pay his debts, I need to pay the attorney. Don't do it, let them do it. They will appreciate even more because they know they can do it themselves. More you do for them, less they learn how to do it. Many of you come from a generation of people that you have to work, to go to school, to pay for your tuition, and work in between, you know? Instead, you pay for them college, and then the son they went over there, dropped out, and whatever, you know? Let them do it. Let them work. You know, Jess is going home soon. We were just talking with a guy that is exiting tomorrow. You know, he's going to go, not home, he's going to go to the grandfather. I told the grandparent, don't do it for him. Let him do it. He's a big boy. You know, he's got big muscle. He can work. He can figure it out. You give him a car, let him pay it back. Payment every month, $200, you can do it. Hey, learn what is life. More you prepare for them, more you give to them, they're going to become entitled, and then probably they, you know, instead let them sign a little paper and say, every month, $100, $200, whatever, you know, what they can afford to do. Let them do it. Otherwise, you've done it before for them. It didn't work. So let them be own to be a man. Men, come on, you can. You know, in community we see that we can. You know, we see it. Many times, how you do this? I don't know, we just do it. The planning, like I said the other day, there's not too much planning. You just do it at the moment. And you do the will of God at the moment that it comes the will of God. You just do it. Like Mother Elvira, she dice. Mother Elvira is saying that, you know? Otherwise, you plan even the will of God for you. You. Me. And no. So, okay. Joyce, what do I say? I lost my wife. Perhaps. We have a lot to share in the end of the weekend. Yeah. Because it's sometimes I want to do something, I want to do something else. So, but, you know, we do it, you know? Joyce, cosa cerchi? Hey. You want the microphone? Vuoi dire qualcosa a te, eh? Dai, vieni tu, Jennifer, un momento. Se poi chiamiamo. Dai, Jennifer, she's got a lot of experience also being Mother Elvira too, you know, close, so.
Well, I just wanted to share this this image of Mother Elvira. Mother Elvira, she grew up poor, but she said in our poverty, there was lots of solidarity. There was lots of faith. Her mother that always said, Holy Cross of God, do not abandon us. And she experienced hunger, and she experienced, you know, actually, it was a real blessing, because at a certain point in time, I was at the service, I was helping Mother Elvira in a very close way, and I was able to wash her feet and to feel the calluses on her feet. And she had always told us that when she was growing up, she came from a very poor family, and she was one of 7 children. And she said that when she was 12 years old, she wanted to go to the church, to go to Mass with all of the other kids. But when she was getting in line to go with the other kids to church for the Holy Mass, she said that the nuns looked at her, and they looked at her feet. And she was barefoot, because they couldn't afford to have shoes. And so if she had shoes, she would give it to somebody else. So actually, I'd always heard that story, but until the day I was able to wash her feet and put cream on her feet, I was able to feel her calluses. Anyway, she asked God when she started this community, you know, she said, I don't want to receive, I want you, God the Father, to show that you are a father to these guys. So if I say yes to you and to this project, she didn't have any money, she didn't have any place, but she said, show your that you are a providential father. And she believed from day one, and she never accepted money from the government, because she'd never wanted to. She said even the government could give us money, but it would never be enough to sustain our community and to sustain all these guys. And guys eat, especially when they work, right? So, and she said, imagine. She said she always told us she had never gone to a supermarket in her whole community walk. She'd always trusted in God's providence. And in the beginning, sometimes they ate bread and apples. And when they first started, they didn't have beds. When they would clean the lawn, they would dry out the hay, and they would sleep on top of it. So she just started off like the guys started off, but she trusted in God's providence. And little by little, and also she was this great, astute Italian woman. So she was like, they would tell us stories that at a certain point in time, they needed gas, they needed shovels, they needed rocks and things. And Mother Elvira, one time, I don't remember all the details, but the idea is that she saw like this huge truck, like camion, a dump truck. And she saw that the keys were in the car. She just got in it and she just took the truck. And there was the owner like, where are you going? What are you doing? And she said, don't worry, I'll bring it right back, you know? And then he's like, no, the brakes don't work. Anyways, God's providence and the angel, guardian angel, saved her and saved the truck and everything. But she was like also capable of going and asking. And, you know, there were people that were like, we need gas. And she said, I don't have any money. And they're like, well, what are we going to do? We're not going to help you. And then, anyways, in this story, like amazing God's providence story. So anyways, she came back. She said, you know what? It's a blessing for you. I'm giving you a hand. If you help us out, God will bless you. And in the end, it was true, because then at a certain point in time, that gas company started flourishing. And they came back, this huge gas tank, and they said, we will always provide gas for you in your community. Propane gas. So it's just really amazing. And I just have this vivid memory. One time we were in Saluzzo, and after like these big feasts, you know, we have all of these tables. The guys are throwing away the paper plates, the plastic plates, throwing them out. And the garbage bag, you know, these like black Glad bags, it wasn't full. And the guys were just already closing it with a knot to throw it out. And she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm throwing out the trash. It's not full yet. It's not full. This is providence. She said, I don't care if you have a whole storage room of boxes of this trash bag. This is providence. This is somebody who dedicated their sacrifice, whatever they sacrificed, to give this to us. We need to use providence well. And that was like, oh my gosh, you know? Just also for us, we receive, we pray. There are many stories of guys or girls who enter community, and the first thing that their guardian angels say to them is, you know, if you have a desire in your heart, what does providence mean? If you have a desire in your heart, just tell Jesus, and he'll provide. And so there was this one girl who recounts that, yeah, I wanted Coke, but what a stupid petty prayer to Saint Joseph to ask, please provide Coke for me. In the end, the day passed, and there was a providence that came to Medjugorje. They dropped off all the things. No Coke. At a certain point in time, she helped take out all the providence, put it away in the dispense. And the driver said, oh, wait 1 second, I just forgot something else. He went to the front seat. He got out some Coke. And she was like, no. You know, it's a very simple, also banal way of talking about God's providence, but it's like God knows what we need. And Mother Elvira wanted us to experience that Jesus knows even our desires for Coke in our hearts. And that's how she wanted us to experience God's love for us in such a small, petty way. But that's how we start, right? To realize that Jesus really answers our prayers, and he really provides for us. And also, another thing that when Albino was talking came to my mind, Mother Elvira, she was so thankful for all of the benefactors and friends. She never, sometimes when people would come, there was one time we were in Poland together, and there was this lady that brought a bag saying in Polish, we didn't really understand, but she said, this is for you, right? And we're so poor. It's like the disciples with Jesus. We don't have a clue about what's going on. So anyway, she was there. She was waiting for us to receive the bag that she had put down and to put it away, to give thanks to the providence for anything that we received, right? To put it away when we receive it, not just to. In Italy, they do this, like, which means you don't care. You could care less, right? And actually, we didn't have a bad intention of not caring less, but we didn't realize to what degree she loves and respects God's providence. So at a certain point in time, she glared at us, and she said, when are you going to put that away? Like, when are you going to receive that? And whatever it could be like 2 apples, or it could be whatever it was, just like respect God's providence and give thanks. And then we would go somewhere, and she'd be like, and I was with her at a certain point in time where she couldn't really express herself very well. She was like, that thing. And I was like, Mother, you know, what is it? Come on. Like, she was so frustrated. Like, I didn't understand what she wanted. She wanted me to get out her telephone. And she's like, yeah, call them. And I said, who Mother Elvira? I was trying to list all of these people. I could not enter into her holy head. And she said, call her. And she wanted me to call the person that had just received us at her home to say thank you, at least twice, just to give thanks for the people that received her, the people that sent her things, for the people that remembered her. And the last thing that just to express Mother Elvira's heart, Mother Elvira, she received so many gifts. She had so many people who always sent her new clothes, so many gifts. Her apartment was like a museum, a lot of the crafts and gifts and the bags and everything. But anyway, Mother Elvira, I just think how she was, she just stayed poor of heart. And so anyway, she had this little backpack that she took her things in, her little vitamins or whatever. And it was at least, like, I knew her for 20 years, but it must be so old, that backpack. So then at a certain point in time, I thought, maybe I'll just try and change her backpack for her, because she's got all of these other bags, maybe something nicer, newer. And anyways, in this little old backpack, we went to the airport. There was a private airplane that was going to take her somewhere, and these benefactors were there at that little small airport to welcome her. And she wanted to show them her appreciation. And these are like millionaires. These are people who really support the community, and they're great friends with her. And she just wanted to give them something. She wanted to. So what she did was she opened up her old backpack. She started taking out like the banana that was there for her snack, banana and some old chips or whatever was in her backpack. It was like some chocolate or whatever. And I was just thinking to myself, these people are millionaires. They could care, like, humanly speaking, you think they could not could care less, but it's Mother Elvira, they receive whatever she gives. But just her action of just trying to give and to show her love and her appreciation for God's providence. Like all of these little stories, just to see how she didn't waste, how she was so thankful of everybody. And she would always say to you parents, she said, yes, what can you do for your son? Convert yourselves. And the conversion also passes through your wallet. And she said, this will help you not to be stingy. It will help you, because in the end, God will. When we think of Mother Elvira's faith, it's just, she just believed. She just touched God the Father's providence. And I'm so far away. But I've seen her. And so at least that's the goal, right? And the community, Sometimes you think maybe, I could just imagine, because I thought this when I was first a pilgrim and I went to the guy's gift store. I thought, wow, this is expensive stuff, right? Because you go to all of the other stores in Medjugorje, everything else is a little bit cheaper. But in the end, if we think about it, these guys who are dead, who didn't know how to work, who didn't have the patience to do anything, and now they're these ceramic beads that they're rolling, especially when they don't even know what they're doing, why they're doing it. They're trying to rise from their death, and they're there rolling and praying the Hail Mary and praying their rosary, even though they don't even know why they're praying the rosary, and they could care less about the rosary, but they're there, blessing. All of this are the resurrection stories in this work. Everything that you see is God's providence, but it's also God's providence through these guys and girls, through us, who were from death to life. And we're rising. And so thank you for coming, because you allow us to work, to give of ourselves, to be able to rise even more, to heal even more, to give this to you. So without your presence, we couldn't do all of this. So you're divine providence for us. And I would encourage you to be able to open your hearts and to think, oh, if maybe like, sometimes it happens like there's a flash in your mind, like, oh, maybe I could do that, or maybe I could do that. Do it! Maybe this is like the Holy Spirit saying, you can become providence for somebody else. Maybe that prompting, that intuition in your heart could be something that somebody desired so much. Yeah. So I'll just finish it with this really banal story, but it's just something that I thought, Jesus is so kind. So anyways, I was in the airport. I was in the airport in Miami. So just a couple of days ago, I was in Miami. So I came from Mexico City to Miami, waiting to go to Orlando. And I was walking in this Miami airport looking for my gate, and I was there like at least 4 or 5 hours ahead of time. And I'm a really stingy person, and my divine providence is a big walk. And sometimes I think, I just won't eat so I don't have to spend all this money, because airport food is really expensive. And my parents had given me some money to travel, but I was like, well, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So then as I was passing by, there was like Japanese restaurant, sushi, and I was like, I'm not gonna pay for Japanese sushi restaurant. And then there was like Cuban food and all this different food. So then in the end, I just thought, okay, where's my gate? The closest little fast food restaurant was My Wok. It was like this fast food Chinese restaurant. So I said, okay, well, maybe I'll just get food, you know. So I got in line, I get this, I get that, and I'm about to pay take out my mom's wallet, and I'm about to pay, and there's this guy in the line. He's like, wait, are you a Catholic nun? And I was like, there, turned around. I'm like, yes. He's like, I'll pay for you. So he came up and he bought me lunch, and then I was able to sit with him. You know, I think God's providence. God's providence. And then it didn't finish there. So I met this couple, right? They're from Long Island, and anyways, they're Catholic, and they were so happy to see a nun. So then, just want to finish the ending. So I arrived in Orlando, and Mama Cheryl came to pick me up. We just met. She came, and so Albina said, before you come back to drop off Sister Jennifer, take her to dinner. So I'm like, okay, where are we going to go to dinner? She's like, I'm from New Hampshire. And I was like, I don't know where I am either, and it's Florida. So we're off the highway, and she was sort of agitated because she felt like, where's Mama Cheryl here? Is she here? Oh, okay. So anyway, so she was agitated. She really wanted to, she said, you must be so tired. What are we going to give you to eat? And so anyway, she said at a certain point in time, we're just going to exit. We're going to go looking. So we went down this road. We didn't see anything. We went down this road. She said, what do you feel like? I said, well, after some Mexican food, I have some acid reflux, maybe some soup, right? And so she was looking for something like, I don't know. We're looking. And you know what Jesus took us to dinner to? Japanese food. I thought, wow, this is my spouse. He takes me to have some hot noodles and soup with Mama Cheryl after a long day. No, it's something that's so small, but it's Jesus. Jesus who loves us, and Jesus who wants us to feel that he knows us. He knows us. He loves us. And he allows us to experience his divine providence, but he also invites us to be divine providence for others.
Thank you. I want to ask Sister Jennifer parents if they're happy that she went to eat at the Japanese restaurant. No good, huh? They need to go to the Korean restaurant. So, vuoi che chiamiamo qualcuno? Dai, vieni tu. Io ho già parlato abbastanza. Tu.
A few of you have asked some just kind of basic questions that parents ask all the time, so just to respond to some of those. One question I've heard from a bunch of parents is, oh, well, I brought this backpack or a suitcase full of stuff for my daughter or for my son. What do I do with it? And I said, well, if you don't mind, please take it home with you. All right. So you guys got a kind of a email from your servants of hope, all right, about not bringing things for your son and daughter, and Sister Jennifer was talking about God's providence, and that's one of the big things. When you come to community, your son becomes part of a family, and so when he or she is here, if you're going to bring something, you want to bring something for the family, not for your blood son or daughter alone. So if you're going to get them some underwear, get a bunch of underwear that can, be used in the house as different guys need it. If you're gonna, oh, I want to get my son some cleats. Well, then get a few cleats, so that guys who don't have somebody perhaps to send when they entered cleats with them into community, they can have cleats. So, to kind of change the perspective from my son, my daughter, to my sons, my daughters, right? All my sons, all my daughters, right? Also, we do live on God's providence, and so whatever comes in providence by people who'll just drop something off, or a package that comes in the mail often from obscure people we don't even know. They don't have a son or daughter in community. We put everything in providence, is what we call, right? So that when someone in the house has a need, a genuine need, not, oh, I'd really like a new skirt because we might see the guys this week, So, it goes into basically like the closet in a sense for the whole family, right there at the house. And it goes to the person where there's a particular need, right? So we invite you to just enter into that. It's a great freedom for them, right? That sometimes is a freedom they have trouble stepping into because, they're used to their stuff, right? They're used to their stuff. They pretty much here in America, everybody has stuff. A lot of times we don't have the interior wealth at all. We don't have the interior richness, but we have stuff, a lot of stuff. So it's hard for our guys and girls, and for some more than others, to detach from stuff. So just as we ask them to do it, we also ask you to do it as part of your journey as family, even to reflect in your own life and what are my attachments that I don't really need, or maybe are excessive, or maybe they're too much kind of connected with my identity somehow, and to step into the same freedom that your son and daughters are, that the community is inviting your son and daughters to enter into. Again, like we had said before, you can live in community like the bench in the chapel, and you go out still with all your attachments, right? Or you can really enter into what the community proposes and find a freedom that you can take with you the rest of your life. So again, just please, if you have something, it would be something maybe to give to Sister Jennifer, that or to Albino or to me, that then we'll put somewhere and it goes to the whole house, all right? So your son or daughter may never see it and never knows you sent it. And honestly, the way we kind of deal with things, when sometimes parents insist on sending stuff for their son or daughter, and so, okay, well, I know the real address of the community. I'm not going to send it to the main address in Jacksonville because my son lives there, and, I'll get it to him somehow. If we know, we'll never give it to him. He'll never get it, right? He'll never get it, because that's not how we want you all to journey with us, and that's not how we want her to find freedom, right? Another case in point, and just a reminder, which again we sent in the guidelines through your servant of hope, so you all would have received it. Remember, you're not to give anything to your son or daughter without checking it out with Albino or with me, all right? And now that Sister Jennifer's here, you can load her with those questions too, please. You don't give them a letter from home. You don't give them a letter from a friend. You don't give them a package. You don't give them anything, right? Everything is supposed to go through, right, Dave? Remember the days? We've had parents give letters to their kids at festivals, and they end up being from an old girlfriend or an old friend, and they haven't read the letter, and it's about, hey, on such and such a date, I'll meet you in St. Augustine downtown at the cathedral, and they're gone. They're gone. Or it's from an old friend or old girlfriend that maybe you didn't know was bad news for them, and it just gets their mind going. So again, if we're all living in the truth as we're hopefully stepping into that journey to live in truth, we want to choose that transparency and that obedience and that faithfulness, please, right? One of the big things too, of course, that, in speaking about God's providence, and we touched on it yesterday when we were talking about moving back home, because part of God's providence is that opportunity, as Albino was saying, when your son or daughter exits, the providence of being able to make his own way. To make his own way. Because if you're doing for him and taking care of him, the message that gives him is, Mom, Dad, really don't feel I'm capable of making it on my own. So you steal from them the opportunity to develop their own self-respect. See, they come into community super insecure, most of them, right, Michael, the vast majority knowing how to do nothing for themselves. I mean, we've had guys that have never fried an egg, right? Literally never fried an egg. You know, and in community they get stretched, put into doing something, they have no idea how to do it, they've never done it, and so they're stretched to the max, and they develop a confidence, they develop a certain confidence in themselves, a certain security, you know, having messed up, being given help because they messed up, trying again, being given help again because they didn't do it right or they didn't do it on time, or what, and they're given more help meaning correction, right? Constructive criticism. But they keep going. In community, you keep going. You get up, you stand up, you keep going, no matter what. So eventually they begin to see they're capable. They can do it. Like Albino said, they can do it. And they develop a certain confidence in themselves and a certain self-respect for what they've learned to do in community. But again, if when they exit, you take them home, moms are moms, dads are dads, parents are parents. They take care of their kids. That's what parents do, right? I mean, understand, that's how it's supposed to be, right? In normal growing up, you take care of your kids. Well, your kids are now chronological adults, right? And they've developed some confidence in themselves, not extreme confidence, right? The old insecurities kind of still can raise their ugly heads and scream out the day they step across the gate, and it's like, ooh, I'm really out here now. Excited and wanting it, but nervous, fearful in a certain way. But when you step in to help them, to support them, because how can they do it? How can they get an apartment? How can they, how are they going to find a job? How are they going to get, how are they going to, they're starting out with nothing. They have no, everything that Sister Jennifer was explaining about providence, God does provide. And they have learned that lesson better than those of us who live outside of community have learned the lesson, right? Because we've made our way with jobs and money all the time, right? So we figure, okay, it's that trust, faith battle with, that you got to be responsible and earn a living and make your way, right? It's that little dance between the two till we find the balance of being responsible human beings while at the same time trusting in God's providence. But your sons and daughters have touched it and lived it and experienced it more than we on the outside have the opportunity normally to do. It's not anybody's fault outside. It's just the reality of the uniqueness of the community, the uniqueness of this family experience of Chanakalo. So when you come in to help them, because in your mind it seems totally ridiculous, ludicrous, and unrealistic that he can go out and somehow it's all going to work out, right? Then you step in to help him, and then you steal from him the development of that self-respect. You steal it from him. It's not your intention. It's not your motive. It's not your desire. But it's the de facto reaction. You steal from him the experience of getting out there and doing it for himself and seeing that I can do it outside. Okay, I did it in community with my brothers encouraging me and calling me on things. But out in the world, it's a different story, right? It's a totally different story. Totally different in every way, right? But when they learn it, right? So mom and dad, let him do it, let her do it. Right? And they, in their own insecurity, may be going, asking, wanting you to help them, but let someone else do it. I know we talked about it yesterday, but we're talking about it again today because it's super important. It's super, super important. Let him do it. We got some great testimonies on that. Great. John Paul, who was here with his wife, and Kevin, who I think is here or coming with his wife, just to give you a little example of the way God works with community. They were both in Costa Rica for 2 years. Came back, went home on just a home visit after 2 years, like for a week or two, I can't remember what it was. Came back, and they were in community, a week or two, and nothing more than that, and they were exiting. So they came back. One of the parents wanted one of the guys to move in with them, and we were like, please, God, no, all right? That's not what he needs. And the other parents, I can't remember exactly, they were in the area, but I don't exactly remember what. But they were both moving to the same place. Their parents were from the same area. And, we just started praying, right? Just started praying. I was like, Jesus, please, they've come so far. Don't let them end up moving backwards, because the family takes them in and starts taking care of them again. And then Albino remembered that we knew the priest in that town through Bishop Baker. We met him at his ordination. And I called him and said, by any chance, do you need to hire anybody at your parish? And he was like, and this guy, the big detail I left out, he did a year in experience in community himself. He didn't have a chemical problem or anything, but because he got so close to Bishop Baker, he wanted to do an experience in community, which he did in Italy for a good while and then part of the time here. So he said, well, as a matter of fact, just right now we're expanding the parish, and I need to hire a guy for maintenance. And he said, I was just thinking of putting the announcement in the bulletin and spreading the news. And I said, well, gave him the story. So would you hire one of our guys? He said, sure, absolutely. Was going to give him a really good salary and full-time benefits. Right? And then I'm thinking of this other guy. I said, Father, any chance you would hire two? And he said, well, I can pay this guy less and get a little more money from the finance committee. And he took them both. He took them both. And then I said, well, Father, let me ask you one other thing. They need a place to live, right? And I said, so we'd love for you to, if there's a family in your parish that would take these two guys in for a month so that they can just get started a month, and then after a month and not take any, not make them pay anything for the first month. First month out is always free, right, with whoever you live with. First month out's always free, so you can save some money, right? And he said, sure. So a family with 6 kids that didn't live in a mansion took them in. And anyway, they're both married, and right on Friday as we started, one of them sent me a text, the baby's being born today, pray, right? And Kevin and John Paul's here with their little baby and his wife. But God provides, like Sister Jennifer said, he does. And with community, he moves at the 11th hour. 11th hour, the 11th minute or the 59th minute. That's just how he works with us. He keeps us totally dependent on him. And we want to be that way, because I know I, for one, can too easily get into, okay, let me figure it out, let me, resolve it, that's one of my big poverties, all right? So just abandon yourselves and abandon them to the Lord. Just release them, surrender them in even a bigger way. Easy when they're in community, harder the day they're stepping out. Way harder. Understandable. Is just being a mom and a dad with a mom and dad's heart. Super understandable. But my own dad had an expression. There are times when loving our child means putting a rope around our own heart and pulling it tight. And I always thought that was a powerful image of his. So to really love. So right now I want to bring up Ian. Did you leave or are you here? Ian, vieni qua, per favore. All right. One of the things that we recommend, as you know, I think, when they exit is, to live with someone who's of the community or with other guys of the community. And Ian will tell his own story. His big desire was to go straight directly to college. And but he'll tell you his story and where he is now in life. This is our Ian Ross, who just moved back home a few months ago.
Oh, you're leaving. Okay. Well, she was just saying God provides, and God has provided me an opportunity to speak to however many people you are. So I'm Ian. Nice to meet you all. I was in community from 2012 to 2016. And let's see. So from the time I was in community, I always heard about, don't go home. You can't go back to where you live. That's where your old life is. That's where your old friends are. And I knew that was true the whole time. I had almost no good friends back home where I lived. No true friends. So I kind of always agreed with that. I did not know whether I would comply with that, but I did see the logic in it. So towards the end of my walk, I was here, actually. I lived in Mary Immaculate for the last year and some change of my walk. And I did want to go to school. It wasn't originally a desire of mine. Albino mentioned it to me, Joyce had mentioned it to me, my parents had. So it made sense to me because I failed out of school my first time, and I just knew I needed to do something because I was thinking ahead. I needed a career. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I had just come back from Italy not too long ago when we were having these discussions, and while I was in Italy, I was in Saluzzo, and the difference in Saluzzo from any other house is the amount of children that are running around. So not only do you have to take care of your tools, clean everything like it was, but during the work, you need to not leave your tools in a place where kids could get hurt. So it's like a new responsibility, a new perspective, a new way of thinking. And I don't know why, I really liked that. I really liked when the kids would come around and play with your stuff, and you'd have to, help them out and tell them to go somewhere. But I just really liked that. So it was a time in my life, and I always liked kids, but it was a time in my life where I was clear-headed enough to understand that, okay, I really love kids. And then I had come back here, and I was teaching Italian to some of the guys, because that's what we do. If you get back and you know the language, you teach it to guys that are going to be going over. And I had received some good feedback from the brothers that I lived with, and so while I was thinking about what am I going to go to school for, it was kind of like a logical conclusion for me. I like kids, I'm decent, I guess, at teaching people stuff, so why don't I teach? So what I was going to do was go immediately back to school because in my head, I had to make up for a lot of lost time. At this point in my walk, I wasn't really planning on going home. I was going to stay around here. I had been convinced, because that's what I heard for 4 years. So I got out. I stayed with Joyce and Albino for a couple of months, and Albino kicked me out. And then, for good reasons. But then I lived with the Wallers for a month, and then that was really, really crucial to me. And I'm really not understanding the gravity of how crucial it was until right now, because when you're in community, you don't have your phone, you don't have your laptop, you can't talk to girls, the girls can't talk to guys, whatever. There's just so much you're removed from that is just a basic part of your daily life that when I got out, it was like a tidal wave of stimulation. In one day, I can talk to anybody I wanted. I could go anywhere I wanted. I had a phone. I could look at anything I wanted. I could go eat any place I wanted. Literally, the world was my oyster all in one day. And that's pretty heavy. it was an awesome thing. It was an awesome thing and a really heavy thing at the same time, because like there is no tolerance built up in my system for anything anymore. So everything is just like overstimulating, and I'm thinking about it now, and honestly, if I would have gone back to Chicago, I mean, like I had my parents, and I love living with my parents. Like I don't see any problem with that. Like, but my parents knew the dangers of me going back there, because they knew who I was surrounded with. I knew who I was surrounded with. So even though I love living with my mom and dad, like it just wasn't the move for me. And I was thinking, like, if I'm there going, like, if I'm thinking about right now, everything that I was like living when I got out of community, if I would have been living the same stuff in Chicago, where I can't come here, like I can't come talk to the guys, I can't come to Mass here. I can go to Mass there, but it's different. I can't come to adoration with the guys. It's just, it would have been like that tidal wave with absolutely no escape. And it's not even home at this point that was in the question. It was going straight to university, where everybody drinks, everybody parties. I did go to Franciscan, so it was pretty tame. But like still, everybody drinks. Like drinking is a normal part of life for a lot of people, and it's an adult thing to do, and like everybody did it. Most people did it. They're like adults, and like, but if I wouldn't have had that, it was like 5 months after community that I lived here, like with all my brothers, Joyce and Albino, to fall back on in case I needed them. Like if I would have gone straight there, I mean, I don't know, like maybe I would have been fine, but maybe I wouldn't have been. Those were not dice that I wanted to roll at the time. So the decision to go to Franciscan was also not my ideal or first choice, because I live in St. Augustine when that time came. Because I live here 5 minutes from the, well, actually at that time, literally across the street from the beach. We're here, and Joyce would tell me, go to Franciscan. I was like, no, like I'm not trading this for the Ohio Valley. There's just absolutely no way. So I looked at Ave Maria. It didn't work out. So what I was gonna do was just stay here, because I loved it here, and I was gonna little by little pay my way at school at the community college here. I felt that was okay, because I don't live at school. I have my environment here. But Joyce kept it up, like go to Franciscan, and I was like not really going to do it. But my mom called me one day, and she was like, why don't you go visit? And then I was like, no, Mom, I can't afford a plane ticket to a place that I can't afford. And she's like, well, I'll buy you the ticket. And then I said, no, because then there's strings attached. And then she said, no strings attached, just go visit. At the time, her best friend's daughter went there, and she's like, you can spend the weekend with her, just see the school, and come back, no strings attached. And I was like, all right, I can do that. It was actually at the time of the fest in 2017, I think it was. But I went, and while I was in that school, that was the only other place that I had felt as much peace as I did here. So I came back and I told him that, but at the end of the day, I was just like, I can't afford to go. Like, I couldn't afford to go down here. Like, there's just no way, it's not happening. So eventually, you know, God provides. And I did have an opportunity to go to that school, so I went right away. I was much more comfortable in my own skin. I was much more confident. And I still struggled with like the feeling that like I just can't get my life going, because I just spent 4 years in community. I'm about to spend 4 years in school, and I struggled with that a lot. Also, I was 26 at the time, and it's a university of incoming freshmen, which is what I was. They're all 18, and they're learning, oh my gosh, like, and